All right, it is time for more pickups, even more pickups, otherwise known as Book Haul Part 2. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm excited to be here today and share with you the remaining books that I picked up from the Toronto Public Library bookstore called Bookends, which is down at the Reference Library. I went there recently with my sisters Jamie and Susie, and we just had so much fun. It was just really fun to get out together and enjoy just an adventure. And if you'd like us if you'd like to see us talk about other adventures that we have done our first episode of Start for the year. I'll put the link up above. We have both a podcast and a YouTube channel called Start Creating As We Go, where we share our creative endeavors. So the creative projects that we are working on or creative struggles that we are having, whether it be visual art or dance or cooking or knitting or crochet or collage or what classes we're taking or what ideas we have, all of those things we talk about it, and we do also a lot of laughing. So anyway, if you want to see me hang out with my sisters, you can do that there. So let's get to the books. The first group of books that I have are all part of my Shannon Reads Those Books project, which is a project I want to check in on pretty soon because I started it in 2014 and I've sort of had a bit of a roller coaster in terms of how much I was reading and all this stuff, and it's really long to stick with one thing for that long. I didn't stick with one thing. I have done lots of different projects and adventures even just with books in that time. So anyway, I think it's time to do a reflection on that, but I also just did buy more books for it. It's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. Anyway, the first book that I picked up that's part of Those Books project or adventure is A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. This is a classic. I'm pretty sure it's considered a romance. I always think of it as a romance from the film because I happened to see the film a fair amount of times because someone that I went to the bookstore with really likes the movie. So I'm very familiar with the story, but I've never read the book. This is one that is often, I think, read in high school, but it's not one of the ones that I read. So I thought I would pick it up, check it out for myself. Unfortunately, this copy does have a fair amount of writing in it. This is the one really, really big chunk. I don't super mind, but sometimes when it's sort of like critical thinking and analysis, I'm kind of like, I'm just reading these for fun. I don't necessarily want that. And then some of this underlining is like, nowhere near the words. It's more like crossing them out. So anyway, it's not rampant. I definitely will be able to read and enjoy the book without, even though that's there. And I like having used books anyway, so you never know if you're going to get that with that. So first up is A Room with a View, and it's also, I'm happy to have some sort of shorter works, because Those books are my yellow and orange, and a lot of them are really, really big. So I wanted to get some smaller works, even if it's just because they're in paperback. It doesn't matter. The illusion is there. The illusion is there, because this is like 230 pages. That seems very reasonable to me. Also on Those Books list, but a totally different tone, is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And I think this book and 1984 are on sort of all of the lists. I just need to read them. They're on both actually my Those Books list and my sci-fi, fantasy, and weird lists, and they're just iconic sort of scary futuristic views of how the world could go kind of thing. And I don't actually know anything about this one, and I've been really resistant to reading 1984 recently, but so I think maybe I should go with this one. And it actually feels very there's a lot of spacing in some of the parts, and I think it feels very unintimidating, and it starts chapter 1 is a good 40 pages in. There's lots of introductory stuff, which I never read it. Maybe 20 pages. Anyway, so this is another shorter one. It's in the sort of 240 pages. I think that's very reasonable. And I think I remember hearing that this got optioned to be a TV series, but I think there's a lot of, really iconic works that always feel like they're in that realm of being optioned. So I don't know. Have you heard anything about a TV series? I think it was for Sci-Fi too, actually. But I don't know how recent that news is. It's probably not recent. It's probably several years old, so maybe it's already happened. I don't know. Next up, I have one that's on both my Those Books list and is Canadian, and that is The Tin Flute by Gabrielle Roy. I was so excited to see this one. Can I tell you? My goodness gracious. It is not a book that I don't know if the library has, at least not on ebook. Sometimes older books are harder to find on ebook. And so I was thrilled about this. It's the New Canadian Library, and it is the 5th in their imprint of the New Canadian Library. And I didn't realize that this one is actually, well, it was Laurie's, but this is actually from 1947. So this is pretty old. It's pretty old, and this is a bit more on the intimidating side because look at that text. Look at how small it is. Look at how close it is to the margins. Like, that is, like, my goodness gracious. Like, I think this book is only in the, yeah, it's 260, 70 pages or so, but it's going to feel like 500 pages. So, anyway, I'm super excited. This is very, very high on my to-read list. It's translated from French. It's an international bestseller in both French and English. Yeah, so and they had one of her other books, but I decided just to go with this one. Sometimes I resist buying more than one book by an author if I haven't tried them out, so often Canadian works aren't too hard to find. I find them a lot in used bookstores and down at the bookends. I think a lot of people buy them for school, and so there usually is a fair amount of them around. So but I have never seen this one before, so I was very excited about that. Also from the same imprint, we have The Fire Dwellers by Margaret Laurence. Now this is the 87th in the New Canadian Library, and it's from the 60s, I think. Yeah, 1969. So it's a little less intimidating, but still pretty intimidating. A couple years ago, I read Margaret Lawrence's The Diviners and absolutely adored it. I loved it so very much. So I think I want to read all of her works. She doesn't have a huge bibliography in terms, is that the right word? In terms of books, she's done lots of writing, but in terms of the books, I think it's like 5. So I picked up The Fire Dwellers, and I also picked up A Jest of God. Now, this is also a New Canadian Library, but is the editions, I think, from the 90s, because this is a lot more recent. Okay, 88. So, yeah, and so I haven't read this one either. This one was actually turned into a film called Rachel, Rachel, and this book won the Governor General Award in 66. So actually, this one is before The Fire Dollars. I should read Jest of God first. I wouldn't have thought that. Just because of the editions, I would have gone with this one first. Which is silly, because they actually had a Jest of God in this edition, but I do have a dust allergy, so if there is a newer edition, I will pick it. So I went with that one. So now I have 2, and I think I have another one of Margaret Lawrence's work that I got on the last time I was at Bookend. So I only need 1 more and then I'll have everything. So yeah, so those are hopefully some less intimidating Canadian in those books. And then I have 1 more Canadian book actually, and that is Timothy Findley's The Wars. And this is just a tiny little slip of a thing in the 200-page land, just under. And I've never read it. And I remember Jen from Remembered Reads, she's talked about this book several times. Usually in tag videos, this one comes up. And yeah, so I was curious about it from then. And I have never read any Timothy Findley. And most of the Timothy Findley I've seen has been like really huge. When I worked in bookstores, it was all like really huge works. So to see something that was like, that felt very accessible. So now I'm really happy that I'm going to have some Canadian titles that are a lot thinner than some of the ones I have wrapped up there. I'll just have to forget which is which, and hopefully that'll happen. I don't know if that'll happen. More. That's only half of the remainder. So now we go into the world of plays, poetry, and collections, and I picked up this group of plays by, I think it's Molière. Is it Molière? Molière? And this collection includes The Misanthrope, The Sicilian, Tartuffe, A Doctor in Spite of Himself, and The Imaginary Invalid, and these are translated by John Wood. I do enjoy reading plays. I don't have tons of plays on my shelf. I am working through Shakespeare. I don't have any more Shakespeare on my shelf, but I'm 30 plays down, 8 more to go. I should finish for the end of the year, but I thought it might be good to pick up some more plays because I do like to read them, so might as well replenish that part of my shelf. It's down to, I think, about six or 8 titles. So, and this is 5. And it was $1. So 5 plays for $1? Yeah. The answer to that is yes. Another work that is plays, I'm not entirely sure about what exactly this is. So this is called And So the Animal Looked Back, and it is by Alex Wolfson and Bojana Stancic. Not sure on that. It's It's by the Art Gallery of York University. So it might, I don't know if it was a student work or something. Like, it looks like a collection of plays and or scenes. And then there's also some art. And then there's also some photographs of a production. So I don't know if it was like a program or something, or someone's master's. I don't know. I have no idea. It felt intriguing, and I read a little bit of it, and I was like, yeah. So I'm going to be reading that at some point. So I'm really curious about that one. So more, please. And then I did get one collection of poetry, which is called The Work of Days by Susan Lang. And I just read on the back, extended meditation on life's, I don't know how to say that. Quotidian labors. So words I don't know. And then later on, it talks about it refracts language through the vocabularies of the institution, the occult, and the farmer's almanac, and conjures, through Susan Lang's commanding poetic voice, sinuous rhymes and captivating juxtapositions. Wow, that was a word. So yeah, it's poems, and it's on this great paper. It's very textured paper, and I read a few of them, and I was like, yeah, I like poetry. So, and I like getting more poetry. So that one was a yes. What else do we have here? And then we get into the land of art books. And I got Irish Art Heritage from 2000 BC by Hilary. Was it Gilmore? Gilmore. And this is awesome. This is awesome. This has great images, drawings of different structures and items. And just amazing stuff. This one I'm going to read, but I'm also going to keep for art reference. I was considering chopping it up and using it like for art, but I think I want to keep it for art reference. Like, it's just gorgeous. Gorgeous. And it's by the O'Brien Press in Dublin in association with Shannon Development. Shannon Development. And it is a source book for craft workers. So, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. It just really spoke to me. I am a little bit Irish after all. Also in the land of art books, this one was really cool. City Alphabet. There were a whole bunch of these there. And this is by Joanne Schwartz with photos by Matt Beam. And it's an alphabet and then like a letter and then somewhere like a found image somewhere in the city for each letter. And I thought that was awesome. So I picked that up for $1. So much fun. We should look I want to see what S is. Now I feel like I've already read the book. Oh, okay. S is for shoes. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And another art one. Oh, be still my heart. Okay, then we have The World of Kong, A Natural History of Skull Island, with a foreword by Peter Jackson. So this is to do with the Peter Jackson King Kong movie, and it is an art book. Yep. This has got my name written all over it. I actually quite like that movie, especially at the beginning. I like the new one too. I like Skull Island too. So, I've really been drawn to art books recently. So, yeah, just lots of awesome stuff. So, that is those are the books that I'm going to read. I did pick up a couple other books that I'm going to use for art, including this Wild Lands for Wildlife one. It's got lots of awesome animals. I love having pictures of animals. Oh, birds. I like birds. So that I'll use for reference and collaging and stuff. And then I also got some more auction. What are these? Auction programs. This one's Sotheby's. Last time I got was Sotheby's one too. And this one's British drawings, watercolors, and portrait miniatures. And it's just really cool to have lots of images like this, either for reference or for collage. So that one. And the last one is Des Egni Italian. I think it's all drawings. And yeah, like seriously. Sorry if there's nudity, I can't quite tell. It's quite possibly with drawings. So, lots of drawings. I really like this one. I mean, it's just so gorgeous. This one was actually $3, and there's actually not as many drawings in it, but they are gorgeous. They are gorgeous. So I'm really happy with that one. So there you go. There's my huge haul. I can't pick it up. I literally would not, like, I think I had to bring it over in stages. And I will, of course, link above or below the first part of the haul, which is science fiction, fantasy,